Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm talking about 10 things I've learned in my first year of chicken keeping. I got these ladies April 5th of 2022 and I've learned so much in my first year of chicken keeping that I want to share with you today. So starting off chicken keeping is easier in my opinion than starting a garden. If you're wanting to get into both, I actually suggest getting into chicken keeping before gardening for this reason. These girls have made it 10 times easier to garden even. If there's a plant that has bolted and gone to seed, or if there's a weed I see, or like a grub I see, these girls get it. They take care of so much of like the not needed stuff in the garden that they are a huge benefit to this space. And I honestly can't believe I went so long without them. I really think that chickens are just the easier option when it comes to growing food. Again, there's so many things that can go wrong when it comes to keeping an animal alive, but there's so many things that can go wrong when it comes to keeping a plant alive as well. And I think you get so much more bang for your buck in that first year with chicken keeping. Number 2, I knew that chickens grew fast, but I didn't know how fast they really truly grew until I owned them myself. So my word of advice for this is if you've gotten baby chicks, get on top of your coop immediately or have your coop done before you even get chicks. That's probably where I went wrong last year, to be honest. I got these girls like a month ahead of schedule. I originally ordered a bunch of girls from McMurray and they canceled my order because of all the bird flu that was going around. So I grabbed these girls from Tractor Supply like last minute, like kind of last second. It was like a let's go to Tractor Supply and see if they have chicks kind of scenario. And it ended up kind of screwing up our timeline a bit because we didn't even have this coop started yet. So these girls were actually inside a little bit longer than I would have liked, and having chickens inside in like a brooded area is no fun, even when they're small and especially when they are big. So have your coop done before you get chicks. Don't do what I did. Okay, so number 3 is probably one of my favorite things I've learned while keeping chickens is they put themselves to bed. Like, it's so cool just to watch them instinctively go inside the coop once it gets dark outside. It's so fun to watch. They just climb up the stairs and they put themselves to bed, and I just think it's like one of the coolest things. All right, so number 4 is being prepared for extreme weather. That is hot and cold, but especially the cold. So with the cold, I've learned a few things, and that is to make sure you have your coop all the way around, probably once it comes to like mid to end November. Like that true winter was like 3 months were needed on covering this coop to make sure the girls were like good. I ended up running into an issue where we had the coop partially wrapped, but then we had a cold spell come in, and I thought the coop was wrapped well enough, and it wasn't. Even though we had plastic wrapped around majority of the coop, we got to -40, and that is far cold. Their eggs were cracking the moment they laid them. It got so cold that one of my girls got really lethargic, and I ended up having to bring them inside because they were getting frostbite, and I just was not physically ready for that really cold snap. I thought we were prepared, but we really weren't prepared. Obviously they survived and they are fine, and all the frostbite that they did get, which was actually kind of minimal because I was watching them, has all gone away. It's fallen off. There's really not a big deal to it, but I really felt so bad in that moment when it came to the extreme cold and also the extreme heat. So in August of this last year, we had like 3 weeks where we were over 100, and it was rough. These girls were just hot. They were panty. I was trying to give them like frozen vegetables to help cool them down. I was cooling off their water a lot throughout the day just to make sure that they had a cool area. It also helps that I have a tree right here to help with shade during that extreme summer portion. But extreme weather conditions is really not something I really thought about when it got into chicken keeping. I knew that I would have to deal with stuff, but I didn't know the extreme to it. I was literally carrying all 8 chickens inside with -40-degree temperatures trying to keep them warm, and that was a whole experience in itself. So note, be prepared the best you can. I also have a heater for their water that I will show you guys that I found worked so well. Their water was starting to freeze in November, and I got that thing, and it's been game changer. It's like a bird bath heater, and it's been great. It has kept their water unfrozen the entire time. All right, number 5, pecking order is a true thing, and I'm currently dealing with this a little bit at the moment. If you guys have watched my last few videos, you will know my queen bee of the coop is kind of pecking at a few of the girls messing up their back feathers a little bit. So I actually ordered a fence that I'm going to wrap around the coop to give them a little bit of extra space. There's a few girls just getting completely picked on by a few of the ones that are higher up in the pecking order. And there's ways that you can break the pecking order and stuff like that that I'm about to play around with. But pecking order is a very true thing. And I didn't really realize that until I got chickens. Just thought it was like a saying. Number 6, so this is also a fun one, and I'll make sure I get a clip of the sounds. They sing a song when they lay an egg. From the hours of like 8 a.m. to about 11 to 12 in the afternoon, these girls are laying eggs, and the moment they lay an egg, they sing a song to let you know that they laid an egg. And pretty much their song is like a bunch of loud squawking. It's actually pretty loud. Like when I was gardening last summer and these girls started to lay, I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on in the coop? And no, they was just them letting me know that they laid an egg for me. It was just a really interesting thing that I've learned. They sing a song when they lay an egg, and I think that's actually pretty cool. So number 7 is nest boxes. So they suggest having like one nest box per, I think, 3 or 4 chickens. So I have 2 nest boxes. They're rolled down nest boxes. I love them. Thing is all these girls use one box majority of the time. And also nesting pads for the boxes are not created equal. So my nesting pads that came with my roll down boxes, they hated. They refused. They were laying all over the inside of the coop simply because the pine shavings were a lot fluffier and they liked that a lot more. So I ended up going on the search for like good nesting pads that weren't plastic or pokey, and I switched to Easton Pet and Pastures nest pads, and I love them. They last a long time. I've never had a single issues with the girls not laying in the box since I got them. Okay, so here's the nest pads. These are the ones that it came with. You can see they're plastic. They look pokey. These are the Easton Pet and Pasture ones. Just super fluffy. They're organic hemp, I believe, as well, so you can compost these. Sustainable option. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit on pokey plastic if I had this as an option, right? I have to actually replace one of the nesting pads. So once it's been about like, say about like 2 months or so, the nesting pad will kind of be destroyed at this point. I throw it in my compost pile and just replace it. Bam! Okay, so I've only tried a handful of products when it comes to chicken keeping, but my absolute favorite I have found that I can't really go without is First Saturday Lime. So First Saturday Lime is a lime like pest deterrent, but it also helps eliminate smell. So these girls really aren't too smelly. Maybe in like this really strong, deep part of like summer when it gets really, really hot, you can smell a little bit of stench, but I clean their coop space once a week and I do their run about once a month. And that typically keeps things really under control. But the First Saturday Lime is absolutely amazing, especially when it comes to flies in fly season. It will kill all those flies for you. It's a natural, organic, like thing to help with lice, mites, odor, like all around solid product, and I don't think I could go without it, to be honest. Okay, so number 9 is the cost it takes for me to feed my 8 chickens. So I have 8 hens and they cost me about $45 to $60 a month. I do feed them organically and I do give them a good amount of treats, so keep that in mind into this little cost comparison. Either way, I get roughly 4 dozen eggs from them a week. So it really equals out as far as cost comparison, because that $45 to $60 a month equals out to be like $5 to $7 a bird for that entire month, and I feel like that's really affordable. They are so much easier to take care of than like any traditional pet I've ever had. Honestly, they are a piece of cake majority of the time. Okay, and number 10, I honestly feel like I should have built this coop a little bit bigger. So we built this perfectly for eight chickens, and there's kind of a problem with that because I can physically have 12 with my permit that I have, and I would love to have 12. The problem is I can't fit 12 in this space. And when it comes to like potentially having baby chicks one day, it would be really hard to integrate them in my current coop space. I would love to have more chickens. I would love to have quail. And honestly, we honestly should have just built bigger initially. Everybody says this. Everybody says this. But I was like, no, there's no way I would physically need more than 8. Like, I was hesitant on getting 8 chickens. I was thinking we should only get 6. Because a lot of eggs is a lot of eggs. But ever since we've gotten this amount of eggs every single week, I love selling them and giving them away to friends and family. We also go through a lot more eggs than we used to because we love egg whites versus like the whole egg. So what we'll do is we'll go through a bunch of egg whites and then I'll feed them back their yolks. I mean, it's just one of those things where I honestly thought 8 was going to be overkill, but now that I've had 8, I honestly feel like you could just break down the cost savings even more by having more. It really wouldn't cost that much more for me to have 4 more birds. So I really wish we would have just built that little bit bigger initially. Either way, those are like 10 things that popped up on top of my head when it came to taking care of chickens in my first year. Overall, it's been a lovely experience. It's actually been pretty easy and I haven't had many issues with the girls, knock on wood. They have been an absolute joy, and if you are in a backyard setting where you can have them, I highly suggest it. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you all next week. Bye!